The other day, I got a phone call from someone I love, and it was bad news. But before I say anything more about that, I want to tell you a story. About 3 years ago, I would have told you our life was pretty stressful and undeniably hectic. One day, in the midst of all this, my wife said we need to make more time for friends and we should get a dog. This was in the midst of crazy busyness. We had tight finances, and we felt lonely in the midst of all this while we were going through stressful things. A dog would help, she said. A dog would not help, I said. I wanted peace, not another responsibility. The truth was, yes, we were so busy it felt like we could never catch up on our sleep, and yes, our finances were tight, and it seemed to add stress to everything all the time. And we did feel lonely at times. But in the center of all of this was really the biggest thing at the time. Someone in our family was really struggling, and amidst the craziness of our life, it felt like we couldn't catch our breath to figure out what to do or how to help. My wife and I desperately wanted the same thing, to help our family. And while her solution was a dog, that was the farthest thing from a solution in my mind. When I get stressed out, I tend to want to be alone. I want to lie down in a silent room in the dark just to feel like I could start to let stress begin to unwind from some internal cavern inside of me. I want to, on my own, begin creating order out of chaos and controlling the things that I can to slowly make my way to feeling sane again, which is another way of saying to not feel as out of control or full of fear. But in the state we were in at the time, there was no relief in sight. We were getting busier, finances were getting tighter, and with the things we were worried about in our family, there were no answers. So when my wife said, "Let's get a dog," I said no. Now, a few weeks into all of this, I have no option but admitting that I got distracted by the thought of being the heroic dad who walks through the door with something super fun. So, really, because of a moment of vainglory for myself and a lapse in my judgment at the time, we ended up getting the dog, whom we named Watson. He was a shelter rescue, and by the time we got him, even I was excited about having a dog again because I had grown up with dogs. But for the most part, it went exactly how I thought it was going to go. Other than being house-trained, which is a big check mark in Watson's tally, he wreaked havoc on our home and on our schedule. He chewed on things, he ruined lots of things, and he was way more expensive than we planned for. We couldn't leave for more than a few hours without having to come home to take care of him, and I'm sure we were sleeping significantly less because we didn't know what he was going to do at night. And it was stressful. And part of me wanted to be like, "I told you so," to my wife. I don't recall actually ever saying that. I hope I didn't. But one day very early on, when one of our boys was sad, Watson, out of nowhere, comes running, and he mushes himself right up into where my son was, just to be there while my son was sad. And everyone's mood shifted. We all started petting Watson, and we all felt better. And this happened another time after that. And then it happened again, and again, and again. And not only when just my boys were sad, but also when my wife was sad, or when I was sad. And the moments where my wife and I would be stressed out or dealing with something that was really crummy, there was Watson. So for the biggest thing that we were worried about, the person in our family who was struggling, Watson was actually a hero. And for all his mischief, whenever one of us would need a buddy, it was like that was his cue to be the best friend that you ever had. And he would just run over from wherever he was in our home and just sit with you. And the funny thing is, reflecting on Watson here, it's easy for me to see an important lesson. You see, in the midst of all our chaos, which now included being dog owners, my wife continued to push for us to make more time for friends. And there's a real sense in which having friends was, to me, a lot like getting a dog. It costs time and it costs money, and it's easy to argue you don't have enough of either already. But I'm so grateful for the people in our life, our friends and our family, who want to be part of our chaos and who want to be there when things are hard. So now, 3 years later, Watson's a lot better about not chewing stuff up. And he's actually pretty self-sustaining. And making time for friends is a much more normal part of our life. And if I had to choose again, there's no question that I would choose Watson and our friends over ease and order in our life. The truth is, of course, stressful and sad things, just like a chaotic schedule, don't ever seem to really go away for good. Like I said at the beginning of this video, the other day I really did get a phone call from someone I love, and it really was bad news. And that's part of life. But I'm really grateful for the people in our life and Watson who come running just to be by our side.